Running a multi-location restaurant network means I can spot a dining room setup from a mile away and predict the exact cost of a table before the appetizers even arrive. I spent 15 years climbing the ranks from a teenager scrubbing greasy fryers to a corporate operations specialist managing thousands of guests a week. Because of my history, I always order plain club soda when I eat out, keeping my footprint small. I learned early on that in my family, an open tab was just an open invitation for everyone else to take advantage of my hard work. When a message popped up in the family group chat after 3 long years of absolute silence, my stomach twisted into a knot. My mother sent a beautifully worded text claiming she and my father wanted to move past our old grievances over a quiet dinner with just my sister Chloe. They even chose an upscale establishment on the wealthy side of town called the Obsidian Grill, using the phrase, "family always protects family." That specific phrase always meant one thing in our household, which was that I was expected to open my wallet and fix their financial problems. Our estrangement started when Chloe decided to open a boutique bakery without a single page of a business plan or any management experience. My parents demanded I co-sign a massive $75,000 commercial loan because of my excellent credit score and established career. When I refused to anchor myself to her guaranteed financial disaster, my father pointed toward the front door and banished me from the family. I spent the next 3 years working through the emotional wreckage with a great therapist, realizing I had spent my entire youth buying their affection. I arrived at the Obsidian Grill wearing my basic corporate attire and determined to stay for just one civil meal without discussing finances. My heart sank when I scanned the parking lot and identified 9 familiar vehicles, including my aunts, uncles, and cousins. Walking inside, the hostess informed me that a massive party of 16 was already deeply embedded in the private dining room. My father had used his own credit card just to secure the reservation for the oversized group, meaning they were already locked into the venue. Turning the corner into the private room, I saw a massive banquet table overflowing with premium seafood platters, imported steaks, and vintage wine bottles. My family literally applauded my arrival like I was a celebrity guest, completely ignoring the 3 years of cold silence they had inflicted on me. My mother claimed the gathering grew naturally because everyone missed me, but the sheer volume of expensive food proved this was an orchestrated ambush. I sat down directly across from my father, my corporate training allowing me to mask my growing panic with a calm smile. The psychological warfare began almost immediately, as my relatives started dropping passive-aggressive comments about my comfortable lifestyle and corporate salary. My Aunt Brenda openly mocked my success by contrasting it with her coupon-clipping budget, while Chloe scrolled on her phone and muttered about my prolonged absence. They had clearly constructed a shared narrative where I was the wealthy villain who owed the family a massive financial debt. My father kept making a grand show of ordering additional rounds of premium drinks, shouting instructions to our young waiter to keep the expensive items flowing. Our waiter was a young guy named Austin who looked completely overwhelmed by the demanding nature of our massive 16-person table. I recognized his anxiety instantly because I had been in his shoes, dealing with demanding customers who rarely tip well. Austin was running himself ragged, fulfilling endless requests for extra butter and modifications. Yet he remained incredibly polite. He brought me my single glass of club soda, giving me a knowing look that signaled he understood the uncomfortable dynamic playing out at the table. Suddenly, my father pulled his credit card from his wallet and waved it directly in front of Austin with a loud, theatrical declaration. He commanded the waiter to charge everything to his card because we were celebrating my return, ensuring the surrounding tables could hear his generosity. However, I noticed his old truck in the parking lot still had a massive dent, and my mother's purse was held together by a safety pin. This entire display was a calculated trap designed to guilt me into seizing the check at the very last moment. As the dinner wound down, my father leaned across the table, sliding the massive leather bill folder directly into my space with a smug grin. He looked me in the eyes and whispered that it was time for me to pay because I owed the family that much for my absence. He genuinely believed he had backed me into a corner where I would pay just to avoid a public scene in a high-end restaurant. He completely miscalculated my boundaries and forgot that I understood the inner workings of restaurant payment systems better than anyone else. I signaled Austin over and quietly whispered 2 precise sentences into his ear, instructing him to run the primary card already on file for the entire banquet. Since my father had used his card to guarantee the reservation for 16 people, The restaurant policy authorized the staff to process the final balance on that account. I thanked Austin for his incredible service, slipped him a crisp $100 bill from my pocket for his trouble, and stood up from the table. My family watched in absolute silence as I picked up my purse and began walking away. Exactly 15 minutes later, my phone exploded with frantic calls and furious text messages as my father's credit card was loudly declined in front of the entire room. The restaurant manager naturally processed the massive multi-thousand-dollar bill against the card on file, exposing his financial bluff to the extended family. They were forced to scramble and split the massive cost among themselves, completely shattering the illusion of their grand celebration. Walking to my car, I felt an incredible sense of freedom because I had finally broken the cycle of emotional manipulation. That evening taught me that you cannot buy genuine love from people who only view you as a financial resource. I drove home in complete silence, looking at the sticky note on my steering wheel and knowing I had protected my dignity. My family wanted the old version of me who would pay any price just to keep the peace, but that person no longer existed. I stepped into my quiet apartment, completely free from their chaos, finally realizing that setting boundaries is the greatest gift you can ever give yourself.